1 second.
1,000.
All right.
I'll sit here till tomorrow.
Is he ready to sign?
He says he's ready.
Let's call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody to the 1 o'clock general session of the Southampton Town Board of Trustees. I will ask Secretary Treasurer Edward J. Warner Jr.
All right.
Call the roll.
Scott M. Horowitz.
Present.
Ed Warner Jr., present. Richard T. Marin Jr.,
Here.
Joseph R. McLaughlin. Present. Matt Parsons.
Present.
All accounted for, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's jump right into our meeting here. Welcome to everybody on Zoom. If you are interested, our next trustee meeting will be on Monday, May 6th at 9:30 a.m., followed by our regular meeting, general session at 1 p.m. We do have some communications that have come to the trustees. I'd like to dispense with the reading of them so we can get right into the bulk of our discussions.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's get right into our discussions. The first one we have up by Trustee Warner, NOAA Sensor in Shinnecock Bay.
Can we have them on, there we are.
Right.
Okay, thank you all for having me here today.
Thanks for coming.
So my name is Dr. Katie Ann Shoemaker. I work for NOAA in the Milford Lab in Connecticut. We would drive down today to be at this meeting, so thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for making the trip.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a few slides to tell you about this project and our general idea and what we want to do. And so hopefully we can show you a little bit of what we do in the Milford Lab too and some of the science that we're doing. So this project is actually a 3-year project that's funded by the Ocean Acidification Program within NOAA. We're in the first year of it, so we're doing all of our site planning out right now. The plan is to monitor Atlantic surf clams, which there's a picture of one there. Surf clams are also called sea clams. They're a type of hard clam. They're mostly a fish species off of Long Island. Dredgers go out and get surf clams. They're used in clam chowder, commonly used for cooking foods. And also smaller animals that are younger are harvested for butter clams, which is a new aquaculture species that's coming. They're the same species, but they're just harvested at a younger age. So they're really important to the aquaculture industry and the fisheries in Long Island. And so we're looking at the habitats that they live in. And one of our collaborators, Matthew Hare at Cornell, made this graph here. And you can see that there's this red and these blue populations. These are actually genetically distinct populations of surf clams that are able to interbreed with each other, but they have a difference in growth rates. And so we're interested in what's causing these differences in growth rates and why some populations are in some locations and the other populations are in the other locations. And so our study is looking at 3 sites, one that's all population A in Massachusetts, another one that's all population B, also in Massachusetts but on Cape Cod. And then there's a really interesting thing going on here on Long Island that both populations co-occur. And so they can interbreed, but they're also staying genetically distinct. And so it's a really fascinating thing that's happening off the south coast of Long Island. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. So we'll be collecting clams right out here, out of Shinnecock Harbor, and a little bit further east, with a dredging ship. And so you can see in the bottom where it says A and B, there's those red and blue mixed pie graphs. And so those are the populations that we're going to be targeting for collecting clams. But we're also interested in studying the habitat that they're living in. And so with that, we're going to be doing environmental monitoring. And so with that, we have instruments to measure the water. And we want to use a dock that's part of the Charles F. Altenkirk County Park. The arrow is actually pointing to the smaller of the 2 docks in that park. We're actually interested in the other one that's just on the other side of that, where the kind of the tip of, yeah, exactly, right there. So right at the end of the dock, you can see Shinnecock Inlet. This is actually on the inside of Shinnecock Bay, but the outside is too dynamic of an environment to put our swans because they would get washed away easily. So we want that dock, and we just need one post for it essentially. This is a picture of Milford Labs dock, and we have something similar set up already for one of our own instruments. That is a PVC pipe attached to the dock. Our dock is moving, so we have it set up so that it doesn't obscure the tidal flux, but the dock in the park here is actually stationary, so we wouldn't have to worry about the dock moving. So it would just be a PVC pipe with holes drilled in it that holds our instruments, and these are the two instruments that we would be deploying. So they'd have a line on them. They go down into the PVC pipe so that they don't get damaged by boat traffic or anything like that if someone wants to tie up. And they'd have a line coming off, like just a rope to hold them to the dock to make sure that they're in
Is
place.
there a little signage there, or
Huh?
signage of any sort?
If you wanted signage, we could.
I mean, people go down there and they fish.
It's a highly used area for recreational fishing.
I want people not to
Let
tamper.
alone,
Yeah.
let alone, you got 2 draggers that are tied up there, so you're gonna wanna make sure that that thing's away from where those guys go in, and that they have, you know, a lot of times these guys put hurricane lines on, that is the nastiest spot. So you're gonna wanna make something pretty robust, but also that, you know, like, understand that these guys might be putting on emergency lines, and they're probably not gonna worry about
Well,
your
yeah.
So that's the point of the PVC pipe, is it's gonna protect, it'll be a column.
It
that will
should be
attach
down
to
in the
the-
water.
Right,
out
so
of the-
let-
out of
These
the
are gonna be
water.
at the bottom,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's, so
It'll
let's
be at
make-
the bottom, right? Yeah, okay.
let's just make sure that it's as durable and tamper resistant as possible
Yeah.
because of the dynamics of the area and the level of public that is there fishing and whatnot.
Okay.
So just make sure, you know, I didn't want you to be disappointed.
Yeah,
you know.
we don't wanna lose our instruments here, but,
No.
Exactly.
yeah, but if you think signage would be helpful, we.
Well, I mean,
We
you know,
will have things on it that says like no fisheries and.
do not touch, you know, what, something. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, just
I
think
mean, it's
about
gotta
it.
be under the water though,
If it's
right?
under the water, it must be like
It's
a
under the
sign
water
just
all
looking
the
Listen
time.
at
They're
this
gonna
one.
be under the water.
So
but
you
the
won't
line
see
will be-
anything, because
Yeah.
I'm just looking at,
So then no signage
You'll
is
see
better
the-
well,
signage.
no signage. I'm
Yeah.
looking at this picture here where I see, what am I seeing coming out of that?
So at low tide, you'll see a PVC pipe sticking up, and you'll see lines.
Well, is that a line that's,
That's
is
a
it a-
different instrument, but we would just have rope.
okay, because I was
This would
looking
be
at,
like a radio sender, there's no cables or anything that goes to land.
It's just a rope to hold it to the dock.
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, because when I'm
They're
looking
Bluetooth
at,
activated, so we download. it
yeah,
from-
see, when I look at this picture, I see something
Wire.
that somebody shouldn't touch, you know what I mean? And that's all, just as
Yeah,
long as
Yeah, I
grab
mean,
it.
if someone really wanted to pull it out.
What's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page here. you
And
know?
instead of rope, you should use stainless steel wire, because people will cut them loose or something. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna give you, yeah,
That's
Yeah.
good to know, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why we're having this conversation right now about this,
Yeah.
to try and, you know, avoid any
yes.
unforeseen,
The
you know,
bi-
issues.
The biggest foreseen issue I have is if we get a swell or hurricane and Billy and or Jeff Kraus start tossing 1-inch lines around the dock and around that piece of PVC, it's
Yeah,
gonna
but
get crushed.
that's far away from where they tie their boats
And that's
up.
it, that's a different
That's what it's
conversation.
That's
Same.
on the outside, that's on the very outside piling.
At some point, we may have to
Yeah.
tell people to, you know,
Yeah.
move
Well,
out of the
we'll
area.
advise
Yeah.
the fishermen of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that.
And it shouldn't be in a place that is going to stop fishermen from tying up there.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No,
They'll
Talk
still be able
about-
to use the piling.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
But we'll advise them of what's going on so they have an understanding. They can watch out for your gear too.
Okay, great.
That's true.
Um,
Go ahead.
So, anyway, this just says what each one measures. So this one measures temperature, salinity, dissolved oxygen, and chlorophyll concentration, and also pH, but this one is a more specific pH. So those are the environmental parameters that we're looking at, and it'll just end up giving a really good definition of what the water is like here in Southampton. And so we want to use it for probably a year, maybe a little bit longer than that, to gather data continuously. And each one of these we'll measure. We can set it up for taking every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever we decide we want for data, but it'll be a continuously monitored system. That the data is going to be publicly available online, so anyone in the town can use it, anyone on Long Island. It's going to be one of the most comprehensive data sets for Long Island too. And it's really for the specific area that these two populations of surf plants are growing. So it's also going to be beneficial to the surf plant fishery. And we're going to use the data for papers and to see how these surf plant populations are growing.
Good.
So, I have here some of our other collaborators that we've had that have given their support to the project, including the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We are taking animals from south of Long Island, so we have collection permits for that. And, you know, there's a lot of people involved in this project, so we would love to have the town of Southampton also be involved.
Trustees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's an interesting
throw
project.
us on there.
All right.
Any other questions?
No?
Good
No,
night.
appreciate
When do
it.
you anticipate starting?
Next month would be great if we could go out. We would go out during the lowest tide to put the PVC pipe on and,
Okay.
and lash it to the piling.
You gonna do
Okay.
this from a boat, or are you gonna do this from the,
We have a dinghy, yeah.
you need a
Okay.
place to launch the dinghy, or?
I mean, if you have a launch site that is available, then we could do that. We could also just lower it on the side of the dock.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's- Yeah.
It's an
That's probably
inflatable
fine.
dinghy.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let us know when you're over there so we can apprise the Bay Constables and we can give the fishermen a heads up, okay?
Great,
Okay, thank you very
Anything
much.
further you need, just reach out.
Yep,
great. Thank you
Okay.
all so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
take care.
Good luck.
All right. Next conversation, Long Island Invasive Species Management Area, LISMA, Long Pond.
I believe they're gonna be on Zoom.
Zoom. Anybody on Zoom with their hands up, ready for the LISMA
Yeah, we have one hand up.
discussion? Fabulous.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you see and hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Awesome. I'll be sharing my screen. Okay. Can you see those slides?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for having me today. My name is Abby Marino, and I'm from the Long Island Invasive Species Management Area, or LISMA. And I'd like to update you guys on a project that we've been doing at Long Pond for the past 3 years, and ask for the authorization to continue it this year with Phragmites Long Pond. This is our team, LISMA. We are a small team of 4 staff members right now. Bill Jacobs is our program manager. I focus on conservation areas, including Long Pond Greenbelt. And we also have programs of early detection and rapid response, and education and outreach headed by Melody and Cassidy. And for those who are unfamiliar with LISMA, we're a partnership of organizations working to reduce the threat of invasive species and restore ecosystems. Our funding is from DEC. We're hosted by the Long Island Native Plant Initiative. And we have a pretty wide extent, starting from Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Queens, all the way through to Montauk. As a partnership for regional invasive species management, there are other partnerships that cover all of New York State. So we work with local partners here, but we're also connected in efforts across the state. So the Long Pond Greenbelt is one of our priority conservation areas on Long Island. And these ponds fall within invasive species prevention zones, which are 500 or more acres of land with low to no invasive species presence, and also the presence of rare animal and plant species. So I'm here to talk today about Phragmites, also known as common reed, an invasive plant. And while you might be familiar with this plant, and it is widespread across Long Island, at LISMA we manage Phragmites and are concerned with it when it threatens rare or endangered species or significant ecological communities, which can be found at Long Pond. In fact, there are a number of rare species within Long Pond, including plants like the globe-fruited seed box and creeping St. John's wort, as well as insects like the Atlantic bluet and the lateral bluet damselfly. And these species help make Long Island the most biologically diverse area in New York State. Just to highlight one species in particular, the globe-fruited seed box is a species of Ludwigia that is critically imperiled in New York State with only about 17 populations due to its very restricted range and lack of viable habitat. And unfortunately, this population at Long Pond is being directly threatened by the Phragmites that's growing in the water body. So LISMA's management of Phragmites at Long Pond since 2021 has been concerned with the sand growing in the center of the pond, as depicted by this blue circle. It's about there. And there are other large stands of Phragmites that are around the shoreline of the pond that have had different management methods going as far back as 2002, including digging, mowing, and chemical control. There are still these stands that are around the shoreline, but again, this management effort is focused on this one that's in the middle, also where that globe-fruited seed box is. As a side note, the west side stand that was treated with herbicide working from 2002 2005 used to be a very large stand. You can see it in the background of this this newsletter picture from 2004. And on follow-up, however, this stand is no longer present and has native vegetation there. So I'm showing the effectiveness of that method at that site. But in the meantime, other stands are still present and growing, especially these ones that are at the north end of the pond. There's been efforts to remove them, but they're very persistent. You can see this is Ligony Brook that's coming in at the north end. In this management effort, we are using manual control to cut stems underwater, depriving the plant of oxygen. And studies have shown that the late summer cutting and inundation combined can suppress Phragmites. We found this method to be successful in similar sites. So far, 3 manual control efforts have been conducted from 2021 to 2023. And we're grateful to have worked with former town trustee Ann Welker, as well as Southampton Community Preservation Fund, Juliana Quant, and Jacqueline Fenlon staff. And we've seen significant reduction in the initial population, and see a trend towards shorter and multi-stem Phragmites, which for that plant is a sign of stress and reduced fitness. So we're doing similar work with Phragmites in other priority areas, such as Sears Fellows County Park. Like Long Pond, these areas have significant ecological communities that are threatened by these stands of Phragmites. And using different methods of underwater cutting and at one site, shoreline spading, these again address small stands on these coastal plain shorelines, and we're seeing success in these efforts as well. So to sum it all up, today are requesting permission to continue the manual cutting of Phragmites below the waterline at Long Pond, and we hope to continue to work with town trustees and volunteers, such as the Friends of Long Pond Greenbelt, to survey and monitor aquatic invasive species and novel populations of Phragmites in Long Pond Greenbelt. As Southampton recently received a grant from New York State DEC to create lake management plans for Long Pond and nearby Little Long Pond, over the next few years, we hope that this work could also complement those efforts as they develop plans. And thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to take any questions
Thank you.
about it.
Thank you for your.
How does the height of the water height of the pond affect the Phragmites? Does it allow it to get
Yep, gone.
going? Oh, well.
No questions.
Well, I'd like to thank them for.
No more
their-
questions.
I'd like to thank Lizma for their hard work.
Sound like she's
Put her back in.
right.
Clicked on the wrong button.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Hi, Abby.
Welcome back.
I didn't hear that question entirely. What was the question?
The height of the, water height of the pond, being that we've had a lot of copious amounts of rain in the last couple of months. It's an extremely high pond. Does that affect your efforts and the growth of the Phragmites?
Yeah, the high water level is actually helpful for us, because that, having that level of inundation throughout the season, it just gives a better chance that, it could be deprived of oxygen for a larger amount of time and reduce fitness. Actually, when we went out last year, the water level was pretty low, and it was difficult to access that middle spot. There's actually kind of like a floating island of water lilies right in the middle. That's what allows the Phragmites to grow kind of in the middle of the pond. So having sustained water level is good, and higher is actually better, but obviously we can't control that. That's why we are making sure to do follow-up management, follow-up monitoring to keep this population at bay.
So that island, it's actually created itself out there? It's not attached to the bottom, like, it's not an uprising from the bottom of sand or some substrate or something? It's just floating on top of water lilies?
It's a little hard to tell, because we could stick a kayak paddle pretty far down in it, that it made it seem like it actually, I know that it happens sometimes, that there is like floating mass that can happen on ponds, but we couldn't really tell if it was something that was indeed floating or just, like rising up. We didn't walk on it for that reason, because if the paddle could go all the way through, then, we could probably go all the way through.
Wow.
So we do it from kayaks. I don't know if I mentioned that in
No.
the presentation, but we access it from kayaks, and those raspberry cane cutter tools are extendable, so we reach as far as we can, get it as comprehensive as possible.
When you were doing the shoreline pesticide, not, to
Herbicide.
Glyphosate.
herbicide, yeah, was it individual, like stalks that you were paintbrushing it, or was it like a blanket application?
Yes, yeah, I wasn't there for that application, but I do know that they used a wicking method. As you described, doing it more like stem by stem individually to limit any off-target impacts to the native plants that might have been growing below it. So they found it to be pretty effective to it's actually just like kind of painting each stem of Phragmites at a time. It wasn't like spraying.
Was it cut and then like brushed, or was it brushed and that would kill it?
I'm not sure about that. It's possible. I don't know officially, but it's possible they could have cut it early in the season so that it was kind of like.
I just figured the stalks would be, because as soon as you cut it, they're trying to get, to suck in moisture, and then that's when the herbicides usually kind of, but I didn't know what their method
Yeah.
was, because it seemed to work, so.
Yes,
yeah.
it did work at that stand. Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight that for you guys. Not that we're planning to use chemical applications in this project, but as more plants are being developed, maybe that's something that could address other stands that are around the shoreline.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
It was
Keep
very
up the good work.
informative.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
All right, so they need a formal letter? Did they need it?
I have one drafted,
Good, okay.
and there's a resolution on.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right, let's, I see the next discussion here is about Wildwood Lake and some fencing. Trustee Parsons, and I see some folks from the community here as well, from Wildwood. This is
Do
a-
want to let them speak first?
Yeah, you know what, why don't you all, let's all have a collaboration. Why don't you come up here? You want to come up here and sit and talk to the board about what's going on over here? You mind? Would you like to? Come sit up here.
There's a couple more seats over
There's some
there.
chairs over here. Sit. We need one more chair, there's a... Right there.
I'll grab a chair.
No, we got a chair over here.
There's a chair right there.
Chair right here.
You guys don't mind just all signing in right there.
You have to sign in, it's
Thanks, Matt.
part of the procedure, and penmanship counts. I'm just telling you right now, I'm gonna be marking this.
They don't teach penmanship in school.
I know, well, somebody's
Yeah,
gotta
kids
do
don't
it.
swear anymore.
Since we're the oldest elected board, we're going back to penmanship here. I'll be passing the quill pens out.
Will,
How are you? So there's a lot going on in your neighborhood, huh?
That's the end of it.
Too much.
Well, it's not an official public hearing, but I appreciate you taking the time to come down here to speak to the board, so let's,
Let me give you the backstory. So,
you give the backstory, and then we have the front story right here, in front of us.
Wildwood Lake is one of the most pristine freshwater bodies in Long Island. This beach in particular had been owned by the community. My mother-in-law actually grew up there, going to that beach, along with her family. Obviously, the beach itself is behind Wildwood Bowling Alley, which has now been purchased by a church. The Southampton town owns basically a U-shape around the bowling alley. The trustees then own the area between the town's property and the water itself, the beach. Since COVID, the beach itself has become a party destination, essentially, on weekends in the summer. And it's become significantly problematic. Overuse, degradation of our trustee property, significant littering, trampling of native vegetation, along with, obviously the difficulties that come along with overuse and disrespectful use of that property. And so we've been having regular meetings trying to come up with solutions, and there are a lot of solutions. None of them are a silver bullet, unfortunately. But we're hoping that combined, if we can implement multiple solutions at the same time or in stages, we can essentially return this beach to a more respectful use. And so, does anyone want to take the ball and start talking?
You know, you said something, you have to excuse me, my hearing, so I'm here. You know, it's a 66-acre lake, and it's 60 feet deep at the far end, okay? And it has, like you said, all of the above. As far as the partying going at night, these people live right next door. I don't really, the park closes at 9, so usually the cops go in there and clean them out. The heyday is Sunday, and that's the big day, because they go to church, these people, and then they come there. And then there's other churches that are coming there, and they're baptizing these people in the water, and they're all out of towners. They actually set up a runway out of pipes, and they have it going way out in the water. And then all the women are in their dunking gowns, and the Southampton Town Police are photographing themselves with their arms around these people, getting their pictures taken, and they're out of towners. And they're actually putting pipes as a runway, and they go through, and then it's all these Latino and Spanish churches from Mastic Beach, Shirley, all over the place. Plenty of lakes up there. I'm sure they could do these things. Why are they coming here? It's a free-for-all, and they can do whatever they want. There's one key thing I want to share that I think everybody missed, and maybe you can help me out on this. In the morning, in the spring, swimmers come, and they swim from the beach. They park in the parking lot. They've always been exempt from any kind of parking permits, even if they're out of towners. The town board has always let them come. They swim. This one guy's 85 years old. I can't even swim to the middle and back, but he goes all the way to Springers Beach, which is all the way at the other end. He swims all the way back. I'm in charge at the other end of the lake. We're taking care of 10 acres up there, Springer's property, and there's a big, beautiful beach down there. Horseshoe pit, everything you can imagine when you think of a volleyball court, and it's quiet, there's nothing. All you can hear is the crickets. But these people swim, and then there's the bicyclists who come, and they park in the parking lot, and there's one of many, and they unload their bikes and all, and I mean, there's quite a few. So anyway, they pedal wherever they go, and then they do come back. So, you know, you gotta remember that these two other bodies are in there, and then Sunday afternoon is heyday, the monkey business begins. They got watermelons on both shoulders, the drinking, the sex, the peeing all over the place. They have a porta potty, 2 bathrooms. They're going to the bathroom. There's piles of duties in back of the bathroom, and it stinks. There's a tremendous amount of problems. These people were all out of town. You had North Sea, you had everybody during the virus, and you had all these problems, but they were a dead-end street, so it was easy to put no parking signs by permit only, and these people went away. It was an easy fix, but this place is different because you're sharing the parking lot with the bowling alley. And then you also have access to the side street where there was a fence and a gate, which was originally the parking lot for Northampton Association. And that parking lot still exists there, but nobody's using it because the vegetation over the years has overgrown it. So, you know, it's these people, I had to go last year after the 3-day holiday weekend up to Suffolk County Park Police, and I made a complaint against the trustees, the police department, everybody. 1,000, 1,000. Hello, Mr. Shaw, I didn't even get on Sunrise Highway yet. And Southampton Town Police will give you 70 no parking signs temporarily. And they did. And they came down, they pounded the signs, and everybody ignored the signs, and they parked all over the place. People are drinking, and then when the cops are telling them to get out, here's an example. You shoot over the DEC ramp, so now they can't get in there. So they go to the DEC lamp, and they put a blanket right in front of the ramp. You can't even get in and out. You park, you sit there. Can you move? They're drunk. They have their children. Hello, Southampton Police. They move them. I said, how can you let these people, highly intoxicated, put them in the car, and then they drive away with the children in the car? It's in their laws, you know, Megan's law, the Mothers Against Drunk, and they're coming out of this bowling alley as well, and they're all hopped up. Drunk as a fiddle. And there's no, you see this? There's no teeth to fix the problem. So how do we fix this unique problem? How do we solve? There's no enforcement. When the town board entered into a contract with the church saying they were going to share the parking lot, you know what the cops said? Ha ha, to them, all of us, too bad. We're not going to enforce it. So, you know, who signs whose paycheck here? And the cops blatantly said that there's no memorandum sent over, so we don't know. How does this happen? And then we're sitting there All of us in the street, and the no parking signs, they're parking in front of the fire hydrants. You know, I'm done, you know what I mean? It just doesn't stop. And listen, these people do not belong in this lake. Hook, line, and sinker. And it once was a very quiet place, and now it's out of hand, and it needs to be cleaned up. It's your property, and it says on the sign, warning, no lifeguard on duty, use designated area. Well, there is no designated area, so that means there's no swimming. Am I right? There is no swimming. There never was any swimming there. It was never a beach. It was the Northampton Association's land, and people did go in the water, but when I was a kid and I lived out in Bayview Ponds and the jellyfish and the green flies were eating us up in Bayview Ponds in Flanders, we went up to the lake, boy, and we went swimming in there, and you know what? We had a good day, and all the cutouts, there were no parking signs, and this is what we did until the fall, until the green flies and everything went away, you know, and it still wasn't overcrowded, and everybody got along. There was no garbage cans, everybody picked up after themselves, and we moved on. Now it's a trampoline ground. It's a circus.
Well, it seems as though there's a lack of respect in many different arenas of what you're discussing, whether it's a lack of respect with the lack of enforcement, creating quality of life issues for everybody else that's around, and a lack of respect for one another and the resource, if, you know. And it's not, unfortunately, you know, times have changed, and it's not just unique to you pointing out other areas of the town. You know, since COVID and just since the just increase in population here, there's no more courtesy on the waterways in general. You know, it's just a totally different thing that's going on, and it boils down, some of it, to respect. So, and I, you know, want to give you the time to say, does anybody else want to say anything? Because then I want to boil down like what it is that we can do and where we go.
My name is Alan Picassi. I thank he's all for taking the time to let us talk at least. In these 40-some plus years I've been there, I've cleaned that bathroom for the first 10 years and scrubbed the inside. And it was totally ignored by the Parks and Recreation Department back then. Now the situation seems to be with the parking. We complained to the town, not the board, to the town. They come up and put up signs that says, no parking without permit on Saturday, Sunday, and certain holidays, just like the rest of the town. Well, guess what? They drop the kids off in family and park their cars out on the street. On the street. In order to get out of my driveway, I have to pull halfway out into the road and look up the cars that are coming at me at 50 miles an hour. Now, somebody along the line told me there's no revenue generating there. Well, the gentleman that used to own the bowling alley used to get over $1,000 a weekend because he used to collect $10 the first year and $15 the second year. All we need is a parking attendant. When I was a young child, and there used to be no parking from the first house, 3911, all the way down to Wildwood Trail. All those signs disappeared. We asked the local police, aren't you observing that? Oh, we don't have it in our permits. They go to their computer and they open up their computer. They can park there. There's no parking permit there. What about on the other side of the side? Well, that's state property. We can't put no parking signs out there. All we're asking for is a solution to that. I don't begrudge people from Southampton town using that park, but believe me, 95% of them are picked, when they get out of the parking lot, they go west.
They're
They
from
go
the
west.
city. We've seen city signs.
I got
in their
pictures of them.
cars.
If you want to see the cars, and they got nice police stickers there. Suffolk County and Nassau County and whatever, they're a family member or nothing. Many times I've walked over and I've picked up the tickets that our local PD tried to control it. They tried, they actually did try, but guess what? They were thrown on the ground. There's no registration on the car. I said, why don't you tow a few of them? Then that word gets around to the rest of the people, they can't do that. Oh, no, we can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? If it was someplace else in Southampton town, they'd be towed in 2 hours. They're on call. But please, we do need some type of help. We live next door. I've offered several people, when you have a meeting over there, come see me. I've offered to the police.
Right.
You gotta go.
Well, let's, You want to
Same
get?
thing.
I'm the bitch part of it.
Well, I mean,
That's on record.
No, I don't begrudge anyone going swimming, but and I'm not lying, 200 people in that lake, in this one corner. No, that is not, it's not gonna be a pristine lake anymore. Not only that, we own property, when you walk into the beach on the left-hand side, we own that property. I have never complained,
Fishing
I don't
spot.
use it. We go over there, now I have to clean it. The little lagoon is a dumping ground. By Monday morning, I have to go out in the water and clean up anything and everything that's floating onto my lawn.
So there's no, people are just dumping their garbage. There's no respect for
Beer cans,
even,
but whatever. Another thing that scares me is I'm trying to sit on my lawn, and I can't anymore because of the loud music. I have my church over every now and then on Sundays, 10, 15 people come from the church. I won't do it anymore because you can't hear one another. And then we're watching people on a raft that's maybe supposed to be big enough for maybe 3 people. 8, 9 kids piled on this raft in the middle of the lake. I'm saying, oh my God, it's gonna bust. They can't swim. Someone's gonna drown. There was a drowning a couple years ago. There was a guy that drowned. But the lake is no longer gonna be clean. This has gotta stop.
So,
There was a stabbing down there the year before last. The other people that didn't come today because they're not here, the one woman owns a piece way down, and she said there was 10 or 15 little babies in rubber raft, and no life vests, no nothing on them, they're floating around and this and that. And then, it says that you can't use any gasoline engine or,
Yes,
on the thing.
that's
Well,
illegal.
You know what?
They
There's a
do.
new thing coming out, it's called the electric jet ski, and how are you gonna deal with that when they're zinging around all these fresh ponds, dropping these jet skis that are electric off now, just like the electric scooters. The cops, you can ride up and down the road with them, you see them buzzing around, and now you're gonna have these high-powered electric jet skis hanging all over the place. And
they
this
don't
is-
make any noise.
Yeah, they don't make any,
already have it.
make it look worse than what it is before
all
it
right.
gets started, you know.
I've come home from church on Sunday. We go to church in St. Mitchell's. I come home, and there was 3 cars in my driveway, and they took out a barbecue grill. I'm like, whoa,
in your truck.
in my driveway.
It's
I'm like, excuse me? Oh, no, this is not the park.
It's a case of mistaken identity here.
Yeah.
So, in front of all of you, is a little, letter from Mr. Sheldon. He was unable to make it today. The picture is his family, using the beach. When he was little, he's the little boy in the front, and he asked me if I would read this to you all. So with permission.
Sure.
To the Board of Trustees of the Town of Southampton, I am presently out of town. My name is Chris Sheldon. Please accept this written request to be read aloud. I am a lifelong resident of the Wildwood Lake, and I thank you. In 1995, the Town Trustees approached the local Northampton Homeowners Association. The trustees were in court defending their century-old jurisdiction of Wildwood Lake. The trustees needed to show the court proper land access to the lake to match New York NYSDEC access. The association agreed to help the trustees create a boat launch by allowing transfer of the ownership of their 3¼ acre beach. Together, we all celebrated as the trustees won back exclusive local control. Then the town board of Southampton embraced a public access beach for this often forgotten northwest corner. Millions of dollars were invested, adjacent acreage acquired, plans were drawn, parking, drainage, lighting, restrooms installed. But the commitment to finish the town beach required both the town board and the board of trustees to work together as one. It all came to a head last summer in 2023. The unfinished beach attracted out-of-towners, 100+ cars with 300+ people, all descending onto this tiny town property. Eventually, the chaos was controlled. So here we are. With new election behind us, there is hope. Many believe it is time for the 2 boards to work together. The trustees should consider transferring the beach to the town and thus finish the public freshwater beach started 25 years ago. The trustees would be heroes, while also holding and establishing a boat launch they require. Of utmost importance is to provide life-saving swim lessons. We must help the next generation learn to swim. In the film It's a Wonderful Life, the main character, played by Jimmy Stewart, sees what the world would be without him. Each life is important and is linked to the community. If we fail to provide our kids and grandkids swimming skills, then we all can see and fear the deadly result of a town without a finished beach. Thank you for shaping our future town treasure. It is a true gem. Together, we have the duty to make it shine.
Let me just address that. Thank you very much for reading that. But let me just address a couple of
Yeah, that's
key
it.
things that stand out for me as president of the Board of Trustees relative to it. Let me just first say that I've always said and believe that the board that's the closest to the people is the Board of Trustees. Now, of course, all the other boards are going to pile on me for that, but that's okay too. And that's why, when I heard that you were coming in and I saw all your faces sitting out there, I said, just sit here and let's have a talk. Let's collaborate. It's not an official public hearing, but there are concerns that you have. And we hear you. And, and I couldn't agree more that the need for collaboration among the town trustees and the town board and any other regulatory authority that has some skin in the game, everybody needs to do the same exact thing that we're doing right now. It's called get around the table and have a conversation and figure it out what it is that we have to do. Now, that being said, and the fact that I've been in this building for 15 years and 11 as trustee, I learn things every day. We all learn things every day. And what I learned is that it's generally never a good idea to transfer property anywhere. And I would never be, with all due respect, I would rather sit here and figure out how we resolve an issue collaboratively before I would ever recommend
And
giving up
I-
anything.
Yep, I
of the
agree.
trust- Okay, and I
was
appreciate.
just reading.
I understand. I appreciate Chris's, writing a letter, and I appreciate his passion. But I would never advise throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Okay, so that being said, I think that what we need to do is we need to, acknowledge the fact that we hear you loud and clear. And I hope that the town board will, because we've had little individual conversations, but I really think it needs to be a bigger conversation with everybody at the table to figure out what we need to do. And I don't have a problem as a president of the trustees with my board working as a team, spearheading and really putting it out there to say, hey, we got to figure things out. Because some stuff is not in our jurisdiction. I hear about people complaining about enforcement, all day long. And this is not a problem that's just specific to the town of Southampton. This is a problem that's specific to our entire country, okay? And, it affects everybody's quality of life, and your quality of life has been greatly affected. Our environment, to your point, is being affected. And it's like, where is it that you're gonna draw the line? Where are we gonna all draw the line? And we have to figure that out, but it's at the point now where it's at a tipping point where I think the next thing is a bigger collaboration with the town board, and I think perhaps there needs to be, as I stated, this isn't an official public hearing, but I think that we would perhaps need at some point an honest, true public hearing so we can get input from all the stakeholders and figure out what's going to make the best, decision to resolve these issues, because you have public health and safety issues, as you're pointing out, and major league quality of life issues. You have environmental concerns. You have being able to get out of your driveway concerns. And in order to, successfully resolve these, it's going to take everybody getting around the table. So I think this is a good start of a conversation.
Problem is, we don't have time. Right now, it's 71 degrees today.
Right.
I can guarantee I'm gonna go home, and guess what?
Right. Well,
They're gonna be out there.
what I can tell you is that I appreciate that, because I get impatient myself, because government at times, it runs at a glacial pace, and I'm a guy that likes to make decisions and do things. But based on the fact that a lot of that's out of our jurisdiction, we're gonna have to move it along as best we can, but we're gonna have to, acknowledge that if we want to be realistic in what our resolutions are.
Can I just ask two questions?
Sure.
Your phone number and who's ever in charge of Wildwood Lake, their phone numbers. Because of the fact that when we have these
I
problems,
wanna keep
we'd
calling
like
the
to invite
police.
you down to listen to them.
Right.
You know, one thing I did forget to mention is, we sat back there since you did this morning, and we listened to quality of life issues and the quality of the water, Southampton town. Not once did I hear anybody mention Wildwood Lake. Wildwood Lake in the sixties, it was the largest bass caught in New York State. It was the cleanest lake in New York.
Right.
Now today,
Well, that's why you're
who's
here.
testing?
That's why you're here, right?
Can I-
But we have requested people do testing on Wildwood as well, and we're trying to move into that direction. But your issue is like, you're touching
got more,
on,
isn't it?
you're touching on pretty much every single, jurisdiction.
Can I just ask, I just need a little bit of a backstory on a few things. The first is I noticed that there was a picture of lifeguard stand.
Yes,
Yeah,
it used to be.
yeah.
When
And then that's when it was Northampton Shores.
Yeah.
I got
It was
put
not a
down.
town lifeguard, it was actually Northampton Shores had the
when
lifeguard.
I start,
Yeah.
you finish that way. The community association owned the beach.
Yeah,
When it was rezoned by the town, or not rezoned, but
For
revaluated.
the taxes.
The taxes
Yeah.
became too high. So we asked the town, rather than just let it go to a developer, the trustees bought it. Because the trustees at that time wanted access to Wildwood Lake, which they had nothing. The state had access on the other side from the DEC, but the town had no direct line to it. So the trustees, whatever money they got, they bought the lake. But now it was still landlocked. So under the
But we have the
Heaney
access
administration, all the
Yeah.
land around the bowling alley was bought. There's an entry point behind the bowling alley
and
that
then,
goes all the way to it. It's fenced off now, and they put some posts there.
so then the other issue I have, as far as the the town board, and then so then we also, the Parks and Rec, went about updating the facility outside of our jurisdiction, is that correct?
Yeah,
The
the
parking lot, the bathrooms, and so it's under there. Okay,
That's on-
I would propose, as long as the trustees have access and egress to this piece of property, that is our primary concern, because as you said, it's a landlocked lake.
Nothing.
What, not anymore,
Runs over the Wildwood Trail.
Yeah.
It's an entry point
yeah.
that the town purchased with 202 money. It goes along with everything that's paid.
I would propose.
I think there has to be a very, very, very thorough dialogue with Parks and Recreation on this one, as far as, the use of the facilities
Oh, when
and,
they get there on Monday morning, they
I-
have a mess to
Right.
pick
I-
up.
I think-
Yeah.
It's just
When
overflowing.
I cleaned the bathrooms, the garbage pails were there. And everybody did throw their garbage into the pail, even today, they still do it. It's the squirrels and the raccoons that visit the lakes. Because I used to clean it up, and I said to myself in the beginning, oh my God, why can't these people throw their garbage into the
they
pail?
did, but the
And
raccoons took
then
care of
we
it.
get the
yeah.
raccoons every single
Take
morning.
it out, yeah.
They travel, and the squirrels.
I
So,
want to bring up one point, with the dumpster, they have little garbage cans by the bathroom. In the spring, they bring a brand new dumper and have the big plastic covers on it, so the birds and the bees can't get in there and drag everything out. All of a sudden, it miraculously disappears by 4th of July, and there's no lid on it whatsoever. And there's one other point, I'm gonna silence myself after, and she will witness this. There isn't a couple of hundred, there isn't 200, there's 3,000 people at prime time in that piece of property, that small piece of property. 3,000 people. They're pissing, they're going to the bathroom, they're drinking, the whole 9 yards. That's the end of it.
Could we,
I rest my case.
okay,
could we do a pilot program, a temporary program where and I know, Mr. Parsons gonna get to the fencing in a moment, but can there be, to just see if it would work for this year, 2024, before we do end up out of control? I completely understand, the parking is the town, lake is the county.
Trustees.
trustees is the lake. We own the
Lake Ave, I'm sorry, I meant the
Oh.
street, I meant the road,
Oh,
the
oh.
county road, I'm
I
sorry.
got you, yeah,
I
yeah,
meant
I
the county
understand.
road.
I understand.
But the beach is, and the lake is you guys. could we have a pilot program, see how it works for a card, the permit card? The one that I can get, after I get my beach sticker, I go down to the beautiful facility now located on Montauk Highway, and I get my picture taken, and I have a card. And we can only be on there if we have this card. And just as a pilot for this year, just to get some sort of control for that beach.
I mean, could we phase in the access road?
I honestly think that what really has to happen here, because this is part of a much bigger conversation. I really think that we need to sit and have a conversation with our liaison at the town board and the supervisor, and we need to look at all of these issues that you're outlining here. I think shooting from the hip is a mistake. I think that we need to get around with these folks and say, hey, look what's going on here. We're here to participate and do what part we can do to make this good. They have to do the same. It's only going to get resolved if everybody collaborates. To Chris's point, that's the only way it's going to work. And I think the smartest thing for us to do is use this terrific meeting that you came down here and took your time to speak to us, and let us now immediately set up a meeting with the town board, the folks that they want involved, and let's all get around the table and do that collaboration.
So, the bowling alley is, the church is renovating the bowling alley, and they have taken temporary steps to put it around the building. To put a roof on, stop it, and then they still, I guess, have to take the lanes out. Will it be open, and it's a public safety issue, will it be open for the holiday, or even regular people that wanna come and use it? It's a danger the way it's set up right now. It's a construction site.
That's
and half
really
the
a town
fences
issue,
from-
though. I mean, that's
Have you
like-
been down there?
I know, but
Yeah,
it's,
but that's on the town,
that's
that's
a
a
total
town.
town
I
issue.
think-
Way.
My understanding
Okay.
is the town right now is working on some type of a card permit process for the church attendants, so they don't get a ticket.
Okay.
That's
so-
my understanding.
But that's
Okay, but
town.
you see what you're doing is you're
baptize people in the way?
you're giving us a lot of information
Okay.
that we don't even have
Yeah.
yet. And the reality is that Chris, again, is correct, that in order for an area like this to work, it requires a collaboration with the town.
Yeah, we
Right.
need to talk with Parks and Rec, we need to talk with
Yes.
the town board, we have to come up with a master plan.
Yeah.
And we can't, like Scott said, we can't shoot from the hip. I mean,
Yeah.
you've given us information that we can work with, Matt's been working kind of hand in hand with you. Everybody here's gotta digest it, and then we have to also, then we have to go to the town board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, the
I
three-day
need to
holiday
go.
weekend is upon us, and it's gonna be a nightmare with the fence, the church, and if somebody doesn't do anything before the three-day holiday weekend.
I need to go over and rope off my section. I'm afraid of retaliation. I don't want to be calling the cops. But I have 3 granddaughters who, it breaks my heart now because they don't even want to come and swim anymore because there's too many guys watching them.
I understand, and you know what?
I need to rope that off, but I
Even on
don't
the,
know
I
what
understand,
repercussion I'm going to get
these
from
are
that.
quality of life issues, and there are many examples of this, and again, it's not just going on here, we have these issues in other areas of the town. And here, even on the environmental, we're working on building fish ladders so that we can get spawning fish up into these areas for the greater good. You have all of these things going on that everybody's trying to do. Look, I don't want to spin our wheels and burn a lot of time, because we're not going to be able to accomplish anything without the collaboration that is needed for you to be successful. So,
Real quick, Thursday morning at 5 o'clock exactly, there was a glow in Riverside, and I live at 155 Lake Avenue. And kaboom, and in back of the old tire craft house on Woodhull Avenue, the pole didn't rot off at the ground, it rotted off at the top. It got dry rotted like an old dock pilot, and it has 8 wires up there that are the biggest high tension wires you can figure, 13,000 volts apiece, and it went right across, almost across the fish ladder, poof, this way by the county center.
Oh, yeah,
and
the
the
new fish
wires
ladder.
were submerged 6 feet underwater.
Byron Young, fish ladder.
What a mess.
But thank you, yes.
but listen, we hear you loud and clear, and that's why we gave you the time to come here and
Okay,
vent
and we
what you had.
appreciate that.
But we, Trustee Parsons.
I really like to make.
No, go ahead,
I really, I've been on this board 18 years, and my first year of tenure was when Scott Stroud left the board, and this was his area. I took over his area and my area. So I had multiple meetings with the trustees, with yourself, with Chris, and some of the other people in that community. And what we were gonna do is, for $1 a year, we were gonna let the Parks Department run that beach and put a life stand there and attend it. You know what they told us? It doesn't make any revenue, so it's not worthy of us doing that. Now, that's a real slap in the face to the community, because I
Nothing new
knew,
to us.
I knew from my father and the trustees, the court battle that they fought with the DEC to win the
Yes.
rights of your community and the town to have access to that lake. It's one of the most beautiful, pristine bodies of water, and that's why our board fought so hard for that fish ladder, worked with the DEC, the Army Corps, Peconic Estuary, and every other person that was on those boards to make sure those Elwes can find their way up to that lake and, finalize their spawning. But what I see happening there is that your community, and I can reflect what happened at Long Neck in Flanders, and when they wanted to establish the parking down there and the overflow of people and stuff like that. Your community, I don't know who your liaison to the town board is, but I know when Brad was there, he and Bridget was there, you had a real ear with them. But whoever that person is, they should come and they should sit in with the whole community and take in all these notes and all the public safety issues, the water quality, the public access, public defamation, urination, garbage, trash, respect for your community, and parking enforcement, and have a public hearing that not only takes in consideration of the lake, but takes in the use of the lake and takes in all the negative things that are happening there. It is not going to stop until the town has the wherewithal and the chutzpah to enforce their rules and regulations. They are the ones that hold the key to this whole process. You could put a fence around there, a nice wooden fence around that, beach. They're gonna bundle it up and make a bonfire out of it.
You're exactly
I've
right.
experienced.
So then how do we go about
But
doing what
you
you're
need
saying?
to get your council person
Yes.
and have him on board and have everybody on that town board on board and put some regulations and enforcement down there. If you start enforcing and start giving tickets for public urination, for public defamation, for public drunking, and for drinking or driving, and all this bad stuff that is happening there, and, give tickets, and, I could say that for the access for the trustee part of it, we could give stickers and stuff like that, but you need a bay constable, you need code enforcement, you need enforcement bodies down there. You need them to get out of their vehicles or write these tickets. And when you see someone drunk, you arrest them. Or a car that's down there, like you said, that has no registration or no inspection, have it towed. Have it make it difficult for them. If you don't do this,
But
you're not going to deter anybody. You're actually going to encourage people.
encourage.
They
Can
are,
I add
it's
one more thing
getting
to your
worse
list?
and worse each
It's
weekend.
the only freshwater lake in Southampton town that there's a public beach at for Southampton residents.
Sure.
All the others have their own private little beaches.
Big Fresh has a little beach.
What has?
Big Fresh, a little beach.
Well, can I go there?
It's
Yes.
a public, yeah.
And swim?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But you actually have a beach down there.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
A sandy
That's
beach.
what I meant.
That is.
And you have
horrible.
fish in there, you have clams in there, and fresh, clean water in there. I mean,
Toxic free, because it's isolated from Brookhaven Lab and all
Yes,
the rest of
yes.
it. That's why they had to put the ladder in to make the fish
So-
go up.
And I know you don't want to hear this, but there's two freshwater areas that come up from the aquifer, and that's the only way the lake is supplied by water,
Yes.
except rain and snow.
Yeah.
There's no streams running to it, because it's sandy soil all the way around it.
Yep.
It's not like topsoil on the North Shore, where it's got a stream. That's the only two access points. Divers go in there once a year and they clean it out. And that's where they also do their freshwater dive thing right there. So they said that there's a 60-foot hole and a 45-foot hole going into the aquifer.
If you
Please
stand down
realize
there,
that.
the
And we do
south
fish
end, the
stock it every
people
year.
sleep
And they
with the
do
cold
stock.
water.
yes.
When it's
So-
coming up.
But
I would like to invite your whole board to come to my house on a Sunday I will furnish you all the drinks.
Barbecue?
Yes, I swear to God, I'm doing it with the Franca, I want to do it. I want you
didn't say
to
it's a
sit there
mansion.
and realize when you've got to go, what? I can't hear you.
Franca has
Because the
some-
music.
But where is the enforcement
Yeah,
of the
I
of the
truly,
decibels?
I
this,
don't
this
know.
truly is,
It's
this
out of
truly is a town issue. Like, this is a
Well,
town, we will do everything we can to help you and facilitate this process, but this truly is Parks and Rec and the town and enforcement. You know, like, that is the cage you really have to be rattling here.
But maybe you can also push it because you want to be.
Well,
Well,
You're
well, that's the
Yeah.
point, is that we are
I'm
stakeholders
telling you,
as
we'd
well.
we'd gladly go
But-
along with it, but the
but-
cage that's gotta be rattled is the enforcement and the Parks and Rec.
Right, let us,
Can I add to that too? I also went and
Guess who our
separated
new man is over
Parks and
there? with
Recreation
Billy
and a
Powell.
code enforcement and a regular police
Billy's
officer.
very
So the regular
familiar
police
with the
officer can get his
problems
butt
and
out
issues
there
over there.
and start to issue some tickets rather than park your vehicle in here and chat with your buddies.
Right.
I don't think I
Okay.
made friends that day.
So-
No, sometimes you get.
Because I
I know.
sat there and
So
watched.
what I-
listen, go ahead, well, this is gonna be the summary, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah.
So what thank you very much for
Yes,
allowing
thank
us
you
to
very
sit here
dearly.
and speak freely. But what we will do is we're gonna go back. I'm going to look at the next public hearing that the town board has, and we will stay for public portion.
They
And
canceled
we-
it.
Well,
Right.
yes, they canceled
Okay,
that.
so
I
you,
came
that's,
in,
yes.
that's between you and that board,
Weren't
we'll,
you-
Exactly.
we'll be
Why
more
don't
than
you have
happy,
yourselves put on the agenda?
Yeah.
Have yourself put on the
As
agenda.
like you did
presentation.
today.
As Franca, no.
Right.
That way they can't say you can't speak. And if you're allowed 3 minutes, have 20 people from your community, each person speak about 20 different
If
topics.
they want to collaborate with us for our role as the stakeholder representing all the freeholders and commonality of the town, I'll certainly make myself available, as you're
We
aware. I do
we
that.
gladly offer the $1 lease to the Parks
Because we're
and
gonna,
Rec.
be meeting again on
Let's-
April
let's-
23rd.
Listen,
Times
let's,
they put up, they said they knew they were gonna go to the public street.
right.
They knew exactly what problem we were
Let's
gonna
not, let's not rekindle this fire.
Yeah.
Let's try and get to the next step of
We've
this,
got
'cause
a
we're just gonna
meeting.
keep going around in circles,
Let's
okay?
put the town board behind the snow fence and light them on fire and get them moving. Am I right?
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
Folks, we hear you loud and clear.
All right.
Anyway,
I gotta go walk the dog. Thanks for cutting it
fence there with barbed
short.
wire on it.
You got it.
Yeah. Remember when we put the biologs to protect the erosion and all the projects we tried to do over there?
Just be ready to come to my barbecue.
All right, absolutely. I'm
All
always
right,
up.
now,
Thank you.
now I will call public portion. If anybody from the public would like to speak to the Board of Trustees, anybody on Zoom? No one wants to speak on Zoom. Okay, that being said, let's get right for the applications for permits. The Board of Trustees hereby waives the public hearing on the following application because it has been determined that the following projects do not raise significant degree of public interest or public input is not needed to aid the decision-making process. Okay, I've got trustee resolution 2024-103, application of Peter and Elaine Dronzik, 11 Shinnecock Road, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-384-3-47, project on Shinnecock Bay, meets Blue Book regulations, recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
All right, all right.
I got trustee resolution 2024-104, application of Shinnecock Shore Association, Barracuda Road, East Quogue, tax map 900-362-3-22. Also meets all Blue Book regulations, recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Got trustee resolution 2024-105, modification application for Laura McKenzie, 6 Feedack Lane, East Quogue, New York, tax map number 473617-341-0002-066003. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Alright. Application of the Maloney Living Trust, 13A Lighthouse Road, Hampton, oh, sorry. Edmonds,
That's
New York.
mine.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, go for it.
Trustee Resolution 2024-106, application for Maloney Living Trust, 13A Lighthouse Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-347-1-21 Body Water, Shinnecock Bay. We worked on this in work session. It meets all approval. I like to approve it. I need a second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
Now you're up.
No. All right, resolution 2024-107, application Pine Neck 59 LLC, Pine Neck Ave, Noyak, tax map number 900-5-1-10, body of water is Mill Creek, and this is all Blue Book compliant. Can I have a second?
Second?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
okay, resolution 2024-108. This is an application of 361 Dune Road LLC, 361 Dune Road, Bridgehampton, New York. Body of water is the Atlantic Ocean. This is the dune restoration with snow fencing that we spoke about last meeting. Can I have a second?
Second?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Resolution 2024-109. This is an application of Carl Hirsch, 1151 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York. Tax map 900-178-2-17, body of water is the Atlantic Ocean. This was that walkway that was kind of built before the permit process. It was all Blue Book compliant after we reviewed it in the last session. Can I have a second?
Second?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Resolution 2024-110. This is an application of 48 Redwood LLC, 48 Redwood Road at the Village of Sag Harbor. This is the tax map 903-1-3-16, the body of water Sag Harbor Cove. This is where we had that bump up to make it compliant for the Army Corps permit. Can I have a second?
Second?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee resolution 2024-111, modification application of Village of Sag Harbor Cove, 900-2-1-46.013 is the body of Upper Sag Harbor Cove. This is all Blue Book compliant. This is the bump up in the grade. Can I have a second?
Second on that?
Seconded by trustee Warner again, all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2024-112. This is resolution authorizing president to sign a letter granting permission to engage in Phragmites removal with the longline invasive species management area. Can I have a second?
Second on that?
Seconded by trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2024-113 authorizes the payment of H2M Architects and Engineers for sediment sampling analysis, environmental services for Fish Cove, North Sea. This is a project that we're getting these samples done so that we can do a dredging project south of the Fish Cove Bridge that goes into Fish Cove. It's been filling in for some years. It was dredged back in the 80s. It's in terrible need of it again. So we're in the process of getting the permits. So I recommend its approval.
I'll second it.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2024-114, warrant for 2024, number 6. It's for the sum of $97,890.96. Law Offices of Con and Con, $2,387.71. Joe R. Lombardo, $2,900. James E. Olivo, $1,968.75. And the town of Southampton gets the winning prize of $90,634.54, for a total of $97,890.96. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, we've got on here trustee discussions, but I think we did all of our discussions. We took care of all our discussions, but we did not finish. You have one?
No,
We did not finish executive though.
we do not, no.
So my suggestion is, since we had all our discussions during the work session, is that we adjourn the meeting and we go back into our executive session for the purposes of confidential legal advice concerning personnel issues and litigation.
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee McLaughlin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, have a great afternoon, everybody. We'll be in executive session.